locked in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio, the show that helps you build the business you need for the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. I heard Tony Robbins once talk about getting more juice out of the orange. And he used that for a metaphor about getting more out of your life. I think that's a great way to illustrate personal and professional joy. How can we get more joy out of our business? How can we get more joy out of our life? Well, today's guest is going to give you her strategies for doing just that. I'm here with Sarah Prince. She is a business leadership trainer, a mental wellness mentor, life strategist, and personal development coach for those wanting to simply get more out of their life. She helps driven people get out of the realistic circumstances they thought would bring them fulfillment and helps them increase their awareness to a level that truly brings them the joy they've been seeking all along. Sarah Prince, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Thank you so much, Ralph. I am so glad to be here. It's such an honor.
Oh, it's the honor and the pleasure is all mine. Thanks so much for coming on. Before we get into what you do and who you help, tell us a little bit more about how you got started down this road of getting more out of life. Give us the story of your hero's journey. My hero's journey.
Well, sure. Let me share a little bit. It's interesting because the individuals I helped was me years ago. And so I let me just tell you a little about myself. Years ago, I went to school for an engineering degree. And I lived in the corporate world, graduated and worked at biotechnology companies for years because I thought, I'm doing the realistic thing, right? Graduate, go to college, get a degree, get a job, work for the rest of your life, right? And hopefully enjoy it along the way. and right? And for so many of us, and me especially, I realized, I don't love this. I thought, no, I'm a successful person. I'm driven, and I've reached all my goals, and I've accomplished everything I've set out to do, but I wasn't happy. I hated going to work every day, even though I was good at my job. But I'm like, there's got to be something more. And so I started just kind of as a hobby, really, on the side. I started blogging years ago, and I was originally helping women who were pregnant and getting ready to have their babies, help them get through birth, because after having 3 boys, I kind of knew how to. So I was helping moms kind of traverse that experience. And I started like a group coaching program with these moms. And that's kind of where everything sort of, the seed was planted. But I had no idea like what the possibilities were in this kind of a space. Because I was still working this corporate job. But then doing this little side hustle on the side that I really liked. And finally, I had it in my mind. I was like, you know what? I'm making money from this little side business. I want to replace my income so that I quit and no longer work for someone else, but work for me, because I had it with the stress and the politics and all of these things. And I was done with that. And lo and behold, that same year after I set that goal to actually quit, I was laid off. And I was so excited. I was actually so excited because I'm like, yes, the world's coming together for me. This is a huge sign. This is awesome. And so then I just kind of took off, and I discovered the world of coaching. I got my first coach to help me, make this awesome new launch into this new world and space. And ever since then, I've loved personal development, and I've learned so much about myself. I'm a completely different person than when I went down the realistic path. And so I turned around and decided I've got to teach what I know to other women and individuals that are still in that same place where I was years ago. And so that's kind of my story of where I am now. And I kind of wish it had happened way sooner, but I'm so glad that it did, no matter what.
That's really cool. So that's what you mean by helping driven people get out of the, quote, realistic circumstances. And so what you're saying is what's realistic is not necessarily what is going to give us the most joy out of life and what we're doing.
Yes. I don't mean necessarily helping someone, leave their job. The best thing for you fulfills you and lights you up. Whatever that is, helping you get on track to that. Because, we grow when we're little, right, Ralph? When you were little, you probably had big dreams of, I'm going to be this when I grow. And
yeah, I still have those dreams. I have those dreams every night.
Exactly, right? Those things that lit us up, most of us never followed through on those dreams, right? Some of us did, but most of us don't, because somewhere along the line, someone told us, oh, that's great, but you really need to do this. You need to just, do things this way, live your life, pay your bills, yada, 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 right? And so when I say leaving the realistic path to find joy again, it's coming back to those original roots of what truly fulfills you inside, no matter what it is. And for me, it was working for myself and leaving the corporate job. And so it's unique to each individual.
Well, that's really encouraging, because even following someone else's idea of success and what someone else says is going to give them joy doesn't always work for everybody else, does it?
Not at all. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And those individuals, they're well-meaning. They say those things out of love and care. They want to see us do well. But most of the time it doesn't align with what we truly want. And so that's how it happens, unfortunately, a lot of the time. So that's okay.
Yeah.
Because it takes us on a journey to rediscover that way I'm talking before.
Yeah, excellent. So you figured this out for yourself, and you wanted to give back and help other people, and that's how you began this process of helping others. But tell us more about what you do for others and how you help them to connect the dots here.
So if I had to boil it down to one key problem or one key thing that my clients don't know, is that they're not aware of what they're doing to themselves. They don't have a level of awareness to step back and recognize that they're actually making it worse for themselves. So let me give you an example. I always compare it to the game Jenga. Did you ever play Jenga?
Is that where you're stacking the logs or something?
Yeah. So it's a game where you're building this little tower of blocks, and the idea is to pull out blocks from the bottom to stack higher on the top, and to see how high you can stack this tower before it falls over, because you've been pulling out pieces as you go, right? And so I compare it to this idea of you're playing Jenga with your life, because so many of us, especially those that are driven, successful, we're committed to our goals, we always feel like, oh, I just need to hit this next target. I just need to work a little harder. I just need to do a little bit more. I just need to show up a little bit better. And those are good qualities, but they're not aware that it's actually breaking them down because they're pulling from underneath themselves, per se, the analogy of the blocks. They're pulling their own footing out from underneath them to try and reach higher. It's like, and we don't want that, right? We don't want our tower to fall over that we built. We need to build a foundation of wellness for ourselves that are like the pyramids, right? A huge solid foundation, and they never pull on the blocks underneath to build it higher. They left that foundation and then added each level as it went up, right, to build the pyramid. I say awareness is the key problem. Is these folks, these individuals, they're not aware that they're causing detriment to their own health and wellness in a way that affects them negatively. Even though they're trying to do better, they're trying to do more, they're trying to do too much. In their nature, to do so much, but they're not nurturing themselves on a level that they need to sustain. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. And so then the natural question is, what can someone begin to do to get out of that mindset and start overcoming that so they don't keep making that same mistake?
Absolutely. Well, I've got a few tips for your listeners.
That would be super.
A few places to start. And this first, I want everyone to know this isn't something that you can learn in a day. There's so many. We're so unique, right? And we're so built with our own experiences and our own circumstances that are so unique to us. It's impossible to kind of uncover and understand everything about ourselves in a single day, but that's okay, because the more consistently you do these things that I'm going to mention here, the more understanding and awareness you're going to have about yourself that's going to support what you're trying to build in your life. So, for example, one thing that is a great exercise for everyone to do is, it sounds really simple, but it makes a big difference. Is I want you to write down all of your wants, all of your desires, everything that you've ever dreamed about doing or having or accomplishing, even when you were a little kid up until now. And what this does is it opens up that part of your brain that brought that amazing joy, right? Too often we get caught in, especially mothers, we get caught in the day-to-day menial things we have to get with, serve, that we forget what we even want. I had hit a point in my life like this where someone asked me what I wanted and I couldn't even answer the question because I'd forgotten. And we don't want that. We want to activate a part of you that is always dreaming, because that is connected to the joy that's coming to you. So I want you to write down everything that you want. It can be silly. It can be, it can be, anything at all. And it's actually exciting because once you have this all down on paper, it's going to lighten the load on your mind, and you're going to actually be able to take the next step into getting what you want and achieving and setting new goals to reach those things. So, Ralph, have you ever sat down and written down everything you wanted in your life?
I have. It's an ongoing exercise with me. Awesome. But one thing I've learned, the older I get, the fewer things I want, which is a good thing.
Sure. But when it's clearly there in front of us, it starts the momentum that we want in the first place. So that's one thing. Then the second thing that I really suggest is, in order for us to reach this next level of awareness, mental wellness for ourselves, is we have to get out of our head. I always tell folks, you are not your mind. You are not your thoughts. You are not your stresses. You are not the constant chatter that's happening inside of your mind. And the more often you can get out of your head and into your heart or your body, the more peace and calm and release you will feel in every area of your life. So there's a couple of ways someone can start into a more natural state of being out of their head. You can learn how to meditate. It's really simple. You can do focus on a daily basis. And if any thoughts come into your mind or any anxieties, you simply let them go and don't judge them while you're in the middle of meditating or deep breathing. You can download simple your phone. I started with one called Headspace, and it walks you through simple meditations. And you have to, let me say though, you have to stick with it. It feels weird at first if you've never done it. And you'll immediately, your mind and brain will immediately tell you, oh, this is pointless, we're wasting time. Why are you doing this? This is weird. But stick with it. I promise it gets easier and your mind gets clearer. You get calmer. And you want to do this at least 5 days a week, 10 minutes at a time for at least a month. And then I promise, looking back, you will see a huge difference in how your mind reacts and how you perceive situations that are around you, and your level of awareness will be taken up a notch.
So basically, you're going to train your brain to get focused and become more aware, so that you realize that you are not your thoughts, but you're able to direct your thoughts in the direction that you want them to go. Does that sound about right?
Absolutely. That's an aspect of it. There are times when you can completely stop the flow of thoughts. There's times when you can pivot them, change their direction. There's times when you can be completely devoid of thought and listen for your intuition and inspiration to come in. Those are things that I teach much farther down the line after someone's really gotten into the habit of meditation. But for someone who's starting out and wanting a taste of this, they can simply, while they're meditating and breathing deep, they can simply just, if a thought comes to mind, you can just notice, like, oh, I just thought of that, let it go, and then focus back on your breathing. And it's a continual process. Because we're molding and shaping how your mind works, and it's little teeny tweaks every day. And it may feel like nothing is happening, but I promise it is. We just got to be consistent with it.
Tell us more about the programs or the services that you offer to help people get those results faster.
Absolutely. Right now I have a new program called the SP5 Way. And this is I can do a group setting with individuals one-on-one over a few weeks, but it's mainly for women that have high-level roles in corporate America. And it helps them de-stress on an internal level so that they can fulfill their job role and still be a leading example without having to worry about playing the big boys game. Meaning, because they're the only woman sitting at the table quite often, and there can be lots of conflict with that. But when she's able to get to a point where all of these differences don't feel like they're attacking her, she can actually become a much more influential individual in your business because of the SP5 Way program that's helped her through. So that's one. That's my latest program that I'm working on right now.
Very cool. Very cool. So that sounds like it would be of interest to our listeners. What's the best way to reach out to you and find out more about this and the other things that you've got?
Oh, absolutely. you can just go to sarahbethprince.com, and I've got my blog and podcast and social links on there. You can even schedule a call with me if you'd like. And yeah, they can reach out to me that way.
Awesome. sarahbethprince.com. Well, this has been really very enlightening, and I think that it is going to help us get one step closer to getting more juice out of the orange. So this has been wonderful. Any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our listeners before we wrap it up?
Sure, absolutely. Again, Ralph, thanks for having me on. This has been great. Really enjoyed the time. But, to those listening, again, I really just want you to know that anything that's happening or going on for you in your life, you are not your circumstances, and you're not your feelings or your stress. You can change that. But if you believe that, where you are is all that there is, then nothing's ever going to change for you. But when you believe that you take a step, learn, become more aware, and work with someone to help you that decision, you're going to get to exactly where you want to be much faster and find that joy you're seeking in the first place.
Excellent. Words of wisdom from Sarah Prince. She is a business leader, or a business leadership trainer, I should say, mental wellness mentor, life strategist, and personal development coach for those wanting to get more out of life. You can find out more by visiting her website, sarahbethprince.com. Sarah, thanks so much for being on Rebelpreneur Radio today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ralph. It's been a pleasure.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at ralphbrogden.com.